Sunderland drew 2-2 with Crewe Alexandra yesterday in what was a topsy-turvy game. For 70 minutes, Sunderland were, well, frankly, crap. The last 20 minutes, I don't think we were actually much better, but we scored two amazing goals through Jordan Jones and Chris Maguire. Goals worthy of getting you a point from a game, certainly in one where you haven't played well. Overall, probably didn't deserve it, but you have to take it when you can, and I suppose it's a sign of a team that's, pushing for promotion. They pick up points when they weren't expecting it. I didn't do a match review yesterday. I was busy doing stuff with the Sons of Liberty, the Sunderland fan group that's based in America but kind of has fans all over the world. So I thought today I would do something slightly different and tackle the 5 things that I think Sunderland need to do if we were going to get promoted come the end of the season. So currently we are 6 points from promotion, 6 points away from Lincoln City, who are in second place. Lincoln are currently picking up around 1.9 points per game if you were going to work it out as an average. That means that they are going to get roughly between 87 and 88 points come the end of the season. So that should be the target for Sunderland. If we're going to get automatic promotion, the target has to be roughly 87 to 88 points. So that means we need 36 points. That means we need to win 12 of those games, or it means we need to win 10 and draw 6. No matter how you work it out, though, it means we're going to have to go on a pretty good run that we haven't went through so far this season. But anyway, here is the countdown. This is the first thing that I think we need to do. So number 1, we need to figure out the left-back problem. So Denver Hume's been injured for a good while now. In fact, Denver Hume hasn't even played under Lee Johnson. It's been that long since he was injured. Currently, we're playing Callum McFadzean or Jake Vogans at left-back. And it's fair to say that neither of them are really covering themselves in glory. I think of the two, McFadzean's slightly better. I feel more confident when he plays, but I think that they are not the answer to our problems. And you would think that, I think at this stage now, I kind of think, okay, neither should be in the team. I think McFadzean gave the ball away 25 times against Crewe. I read that stat somewhere and I was like, wow, that's not good at all. So for me, when we get Bailey Wright back from injury, I would probably, and go against everything I ever say about positions, but I feel like it would make more sense to have Sanderson, Bailey Wright centre back, Luke O'Nien at left back, and Conor McLaughlin at right back. Of course, you can change that around with Tom Flanagan coming back. Maybe you could put him into one of the full back or centre back positions. But to me, that makes more sense to do, and it means that we have somebody more dependable at full back, because Vogans and McFadzean are just making too many mistakes and they're costing us goals. And even if the goals, like yesterday, you wouldn't necessarily say the goals were 100% the fault of Callum McFadzean, because they weren't, but it was just late tracking of men. It feels like every game you're like, he could have done better there, and that's not good enough. Not every game you can't say, right, he should have done better for that attack, and that's not good enough. That's going to be why we miss out on promotion, because there's been games where we drop points because he hasn't tracked the man. Look at Shrewsbury away. He didn't track the man. Shrewsbury managed to get a goal and go up 2-1 and win. We would have drawn that game. There was nothing in that game beyond 2 defensive mistakes. One was the goalkeeper. So really, the issues fix the left back problem, but also fix them defensive mistakes. Number 2, we need to have a bit more squad rotation in forward areas. We saw this yesterday, but Lee Johnson's continually went with McGeady and Lyndon Gooch for the last few weeks. And while I have no issue with that, because I think they're both pretty decent players, very good players at this level, and McGeady in particular has been on a tear recently in terms of assists, I think yesterday we saw, though, what it can bring to have other players on there, and bringing on Jordan Jones and Chris Maguire totally changed the game for Sunderland. They were the 2 players who got the goals, but it offered a different threat. I realised that Crewe had obviously done their homework on Sunderland, because they were doubling, tripling up on our wingers to make sure we weren't able to get the ball in. If you think back, how many times did Sunderland cross the ball against Crewe? Wasn't very many, but certainly didn't. The eye test, I haven't actually looked at the stats, but the eye test said that we weren't getting many balls in the area. So we changed it up, and Crewe didn't really have an answer for when we brought on Jordan Jones in particular. He just ran straight at them. He offers something very different to what McGeady and Gooch do. Certainly Jordan Jones, I think, has his head up a little bit more than Lyndon Gooch, and he produced that moment of quality, which fair play to him. But I think we need to start rotating that front line. We need to start bringing in different players. We've got a strong squad, so why wouldn't you rotate players? We've got probably the deepest squad in the league, and we're not necessarily utilising it all the time. Jordan Jones has impressed me every single time he's played, and I feel like Lyndon Gooch is going hot and cold. Chris Maguire has been out of the squad for a while, and then he slowly came back in, but he showed yesterday he played some delicious balls into the box. He scored, obviously, an absolutely stunning goal you think, right, okay, let's stick him in. And this isn't a case of dropping them with the forward players. I just say we're playing Saturday, Tuesday every week. It doesn't make sense to play players Saturday, Tuesday, especially in them wing positions where you're constantly running up and down. So that applies not only to obviously the forward areas, but the rest of the team. But ultimately, I think the forward areas is where we're going to get more joy because we have such good players, particularly in them wing positions. Number 3, this has been a problem pretty much all season. Home form. So far, at home we picked up 23 points. Away from home we picked up 28. We've played 15 at home and 15 away. So the 5 points that we dropped at home, if we had a matched record totally equal, we would be 1 point away from automatics. But we all know our home form this season has not been good enough and it needs to be addressed. Currently, we are actually doing okay at home, but we need to keep that consistently up now over a prolonged period of time. And with games coming up, I'll read them out here. Swindon, Rochdale, Lincoln, Oxford, Charlton, Accrington Stanley, Blackpool and Northampton left at home. I look at them games and yes, we do have to play Lincoln and Accrington, who are promotion contenders, but the other 6 are games that I think we should win. I know Oxford are a decent side, but they are kind of just in mid-table at the minute. So from them, you've got to pick up at least 6 wins, and that brings you to your halfway point of the 12 I mentioned earlier. But obviously, if you can pick up 7, that means you've got less to do away from home. The home form is absolutely huge. If we could win, and it's a stretch to say this because you wouldn't, not many teams win 8 straight home games. But if we were to make the stadium like a fortress over these last 8 games and pick up 8 wins, then the actual reality is we would get promoted, and we need to make sure that the stadium like is an absolute fortress, a place that teams fear, and not a place where teams are like, oh, I'm going to enjoy my game at the stadium like beautiful ground, beautiful pitch, etc. Because that's what it feels like at the minute. It feels like teams come here and kind of enjoy the day and play really well and put that extra 10% in, and we have no answer for it. We need to instill a fear. When the stadium light first opened, teams would come and they would be scared. For years, you talk about big Premier League teams as well. They were scared of going there, and at the minute, yes, there's no crowd there, but we still need to implement a kind of we're playing the biggest team in the league and they've got the best players and they're going to hammer us unless we play really, really well. We haven't had that for a while. So the home form, absolutely key come the end of the season, because a solid basis of wins there, if you can pick up 6, 7, 8 wins, means you've got less to do on the road. Number 4, no more room for bad days at the office. 16 games left in the season, and I know it's a big ask to say that we have 16 decent performances, and that's not what I'm even saying. Yesterday was a bad day at the office for like every single player. There was not a player who started that game yesterday who I think had a good game. Some of them maybe were playing out 6 out of 10s, but a lot of them were playing out 5s and 4s out of 10s, and that's not good enough. You're not going to win games if you're playing that poorly. And we were rescued yesterday by 2 moments of brilliance. You can't rely on that every game. You can rely on maybe 1 moment every few games. Not often you get 2 in 1. But what was it yesterday? I think, was it arrogance? Was it not being prepared? Did the manager not have them prepared? Because it seems mental to me that the whole team didn't perform well. When I talk about 1 or 2 players, or a player having an absolute disaster but the rest of the team playing okay, but that one player cost them the game, we're talking about the whole squad of players who started the match playing not very well. To me, that suggests that there was an issue in preparation, or there was an issue of complacency. That's an issue. You can't have that come the end of the season. We went on a little run here, a nice little run, 4 straight wins in all competitions, and the players are now not playing, not taking it seriously, because that's what it felt like to me. I know that they probably were taking it seriously, but watching that game, that wasn't the same intensity we'd seen in previous matches. So I think that there has to be, that needs to be addressed. It's not good enough to go to Crewe Alexandra and think that you're going to win and play at 60-70%, because that's what it looked like to me. Yesterday I thought Crewe were better than us pretty much in all departments, and we had no answer for it. And we shouldn't accept that, and the manager shouldn't accept that. But he's learned about this squad of players. Yes he is, but he needs to make sure that doesn't happen again, because we will not get promoted. We might not even make the playoffs if we throw out another 6, 7 or 8 of them kind of performances. We need to be throwing out the kind of performances we did against Burton Albion and against Doncaster, where we were relentless going forward and high pressing and all that good stuff. But yesterday there was none of that. Number 5 kind of relates to number 4. It's about mentality. Look at the Sunderland squads of the past that have got promoted. The one under Roy Keane and Mick McCarthy, they're the 2 most recent ones. They had such a strong mentality, a mentality of we won't lose games and we win important matches. And does this team have one? Well, I'm not 100% sure, but I know for a fact that we haven't went on the kind of run that we need to go on to get promoted. We've never done that before. We haven't won 12 of 16 before. So the mentality of this team, I would say, has been, at best, it's been average. At worst, I would say that it's weak. In fact, if I was going to put a real word in it, I would say it was weak all the time. We've consistently with this squad, and you've got to remember this squad's actually, a lot of the players have been here for years, but the first season under Jack Ross, we stumbled over the line at the end and lost the playoff final despite being given a goal. The second season under Phil Parkinson, we came away just before the pandemic and ended up finishing 8th. In this season, we have not consistently put a good run of games together. So 3 years down the line with players who've been here a while, Max Power's an experienced player, Aidan McGeady's an experienced player, Chris Maguire's been here, Grant Ledbetter's been here, there's Tom Flanagan's been here. We've had, and that's just covering off, there's going to be other players that we've had, Lyndon Gooch in particular as well. That's a strong core of players that's remained here, but yet they've never been able to run away with it, run away with a good run of form and a good run of fixtures. Not since that first season anyway. Early on in Jack Ross, we've not had it. So the mentality of these players, I think it's fair to question it. I think we can say that it's not been where it needs to be since we came down to this level. So they need to create that strong mentality. You need to make sure that the Stadium of Light, as I said before, is a fortress. You need to make sure that we're turning up for games and making sure that even if we're not playing well, at least we're doing the fundamentals and the basics. And yesterday, I don't think we were doing the fundamentals and the basics. That is absolutely vital. If we build up that mentality, we won't lose games. And if we don't lose games, we're likely to win games. And that means we can pick up the 36 points we need. But if you think of recent performances, we've had 2 terrible away performances in our last 3. We went to Shrewsbury and played poor, similar to the game yesterday against Crewe, and the Crewe game we were terrible as well. So we can't afford to drop 2 terrible performances out of 3 away from home. If you do that, we won't go up, because we need to win at least 5 or 6 of the 8 away games we've got. And that's essential. That's it. The reality is if our away form is 1 win, 1 draw, 1 defeat, going to the end of the season, it might not be enough. We need to be picking up 2 wins from 3 wins from 4. It needs to be consistent. So there we are. There are the 5 things that I think Sunderland need to do and work on and perfect before the end of the season. A lot of them comes back to that final point, which is mentality, but there are other things that the coaching staff needs to do to make sure we're prepared for games. Thanks for watching today's video. I apologise, I've got a little bit of bed hair going on here, but it's a Sunday, I don't care. Say what you want. I've got a long ass, very long beard at the minute as well. It's just lockdown, isn't it? When we come out of lockdown, I'll have a full head of hair. I promise. I'll go to Turkey and get the full works done. But thanks for watching today's video. Please share if you've enjoyed it. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, hopefully we'll be talking about two big games this week, and hopefully that'll be 6 points, and we can tick off 6 of the 36 we need to get promoted come the end of the season. But it is what it is in football. Kind of take it as it goes. Crazy things happen. And hopefully it's just entertaining. Would just be nice to be entertained in the race until the end of the season. But anyway, thanks for watching today's video. I appreciate it, and I appreciate it if you drop a like as well.